Hi, friends.
This is History for the Books. I'm Katie,
I'm Allie.
and today we don't have microphones
No.
because I suck. So just make sure your ears are open
Yeah. And if you hear other racket, it's my children. So
and just ignore it because
Yeah.
we're moms. We're tired. It's literally midnight outside,
it's literally 8 o'clock. It's literally 8 o'clock, Katie.
and I'm not awake. So
I am.
Everything's fine. Allie said, "We have to record this episode," and I said, "Allison, it's midnight," and she said, "Katie, it's 7 o'clock."
It's literally 7 o'clock, and she forgets that I stay up till midnight
And
every
I
night.
said, "I don't care. I go to bed at 8. I'm not doing that." And she said, "Too bad." And so here I am.
You're welcome.
So anywho, this week, let me get my notes out. Look at this fancy new note.
I know.
iPad I have. I almost said notepad.
Notebook. Love it.
Okay. So are you ready? Look at that.
Wow.
Look at
it
this.
looks so good.
I know.
So organized.
Okay.
We're actually going to remember things now, or you will at least.
Yeah. Yeah, and I have a lot to say.
I see that.
I'm sure you have a lot to say.
I do.
Once I remind you of what
Once you
need to
remind
say.
me. Yep. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So this week we're talking about If You Tell by Greg Olson. It looks like this. If you haven't seen our post, but it looks like that. And whenever we were picking this book, first of all, we picked this book because there's 5 Mondays in October. And
Yeah.
we were only prepared for 4.
Right?
And so this is kind of a scramble to get this done. We had both read this book, and so we were like, okay, hurry up. What do we do? And also this was literally everywhere as like a murder story.
I had not heard of it before.
Okay, it was everywhere for me.
I didn't hear about it.
But it's like told as this, or advertised or whatever as this murder story. And I was like, okay, murder, October, let's get it. Nope. Mm-mm.
Trauma.
Nope. Child abuse. It's not a funny topic.
Stage 4 child abuse too.
Literally so bad. So here is your warning. If you have triggers or you think maybe you can't handle this, now's your time.
There's pretty much every trigger that you can imagine in this book.
Mm-hmm.
So
Now is your time to say, I'll see you next week.
there you go.
So if that's you, then we will see you next week. And we're sorry that we chose this book, but we're not because it's good. But we are for you because we understand that it's...
We're also traumatized by the book.
Yep.
So
Yep, but by the time we were in, we were too far in.
we were too far to go. I knew nothing about this book going into it. I've never seen anything on it. I've never, until you were like, hey, I think we need to read this book. And I said, okay.
Well, I've seen a lot of stuff on it, and I still knew nothing, apparently, because it was nothing like what I was told it was.
Yeah, it wasn't really a murder mystery because you kind of knew who was murdering everybody the whole time.
Yeah, literally. So, we follow Shelley Notek.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, she's our villain. Okay, as well as her husband, Dave. I was confused. Is his name Dave or David? I forgot. It's Dave or David.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's David.
For all intents and purposes, I'm going to say Dave. Because that's what I've wrote.
Okay.
And then her 3 girls, Tori, Sammy, Nikki. And then their cousin Shane. Okay.
Yep.
And then couple randoms that we'll get to, Kathy and Ron. And then another important player is going to be Laura. And she is Shelley's mother-in-law. No.
Yes.
Stepmom.
Yes, stepmom.
So the plot of this book, again, nothing like I thought it was, okay?
Yep.
It is a true story, and that is what drew me to it initially, because I knew it was a true story about murder, so I knew we could cover the case. And so that's what I was like, light bulb, we can cover it for October. But it's actually a true story of the worst acts of abuse.
Yep.
And torture.
Yep.
It's straight torture. So it tells the story of these 4 children and 2 adults who were brutally, and when I say brutally, you know.
I know, girl.
Brutally abused and tortured for years.
Yeah. I'm like getting chills just thinking about it. Like,
for literal years. I don't know how this woman got away with it for that long, but she did, and we will get into it. Part of the little blurb about the book is it says it's a true story of murder, family secrets, and the unbreakable bond of sisterhood. Who wouldn't want to read that?
yeah, that sounds very light, you know, kind of light murder mystery. It's very much the opposite.
How they get ya. Okay, so we're in Washington, okay, in the 90s to the 2000s. That's a long time span.
Yep.
Okay, so listen here. The amount of shock, disgust, disbelief that went through my body while reading this book is literally astronomical,
Yep.
mind-blowing, like just insane. Shelley Notek, she's a real woman, okay? She is one of the worst people to have ever lived. Okay?
Yep.
I stand by that forever. Forever. She's also one of the worst people I have ever read about or heard about, and I watch a lot of true crime documentaries, podcasts.
Well, I think it's because, like, she is probably one of the worst because, like, I feel like I watch a lot of true crime too, and a lot of those people are just, like, flat out mean the whole entire time, and they always abuse you, but she flip-flopped between being, like, abusive and then, oh, I just love you so much, and you're just the best thing in my life, and like master manipulator, and I feel like that makes people 10 times more crueler whenever they're like that. So
so if you read this book, by the time that you put it down, you will have been witness to or read or watched, because there is a documentary about this case, 3 murders and 7 counts of abuse, okay, on children,
just
on
7
adults. Huh?
Just 7? I felt like there was more.
I know, it feels like there's more, and I did include her husband, I think, in that count, even though he's a monster as well. The abuse is done by Shelley and her husband, David, and he is husband number 3. So his daughter is Tori.
Yes.
Okay, and Sammy and Nikki have different dads who have long since left the scene because Shelley is terrible and has just been terrible to them also, but not to the level that she is with them.
Right.
So David and Shelley are somehow left to raise Shelley's daughters, Sammy and Nikki, and then their daughter together, Tori, and then they somehow get custody of Shelley's nephew, Shane. Okay, so there's 4 children in this house, okay, that should have never been in the house from the get-go.
Yeah.
Okay, and Shelley is described, okay, this is interesting. Shelley is described as a very sadistic human being because she found pleasure in other people's pain. And that could be anyone from her husband to her children to someone on the street. It doesn't matter. She's happy if you're not. Okay. So she...
Can we also talk about how they described her as really, like, beautiful in the book and, like, really pretty? And then I looked up photos and I'm like, even, like, younger photos from then. And I'm like, are you sure?
Same.
Are you sure?
Whenever I watched that documentary,
Yeah.
and they were still like saying how beautiful she was, and then they'd show a picture, and I was like,
Is she though?
"Are you looking at the same person? Because are you sure?"
Right.
So listen, the kind of abuse that went on, it could be from anything, just standing in front of Shelley naked while she talks about every minor, like, detail of your body to you. It could be just yelling at you or hitting you, or it could be as awful as making you go outside and wallow. Okay, and wallowing...
I was going to say, are you going to explain what wallowing is?
Oh, yeah. Wallowing is Shelley Notek and David Notek's own creation. Okay, they would make their children or whoever stripped completely naked in the dead ass of winter or cold, go outside, okay, and stand. And they would get a water hose and spray them down for hours and make them roll around in the dirt until it turned into mud. So you'd be wallowing like a pig.
And through this whole thing too, like, Shelley is telling Dave to do this. So Shelley's never actually touching the hose. Shelley's never... I think there's certain parts too where she's not even saying it. She's telling Dave, tell her to do this or whatever.
Yep.
Like, so if anything, Dave gets the fall for what she is actually wanting to happen, which, I mean, yeah. So anyways, I just thought that was interesting too.
Yeah. She has a very weird way of making sure she's not the one to actually inflict this pain. Because she wants to watch it, but also because I think she thought in her head that if for some reason the police were to come and
she can put it off on somebody else,
she could be like, no, dog, he did it.
Yeah.
I watched him. He did it.
Yeah.
So soon after all of this abuse is going on with the kids, Shelley meets this woman named Kathy. Okay, and Kathy is a hairdresser. And she lives in the town that they live in, and she has fallen on, like, really hard times, okay? Like, she's lost her house, she doesn't have a lot of money, her family is, like, not helping her the way that they should, and so Shelley's like, Kathy, come live with me.
Right.
We're the best of friends. You can help me, like, clean and take care of my kids, and then it'll just be, like, best friend time forever.
Yeah.
And Kathy, of course, is like, okay.
Of course.
Imagine if I was just like, Allie, you're down on your luck. I have an extra room. Come on over, sis.
And I would be so glad until you started abusing me.
See? So, Kathy moves in. Okay, she gets her own room. She brings all of her things over. And she's, like, stoked to be there. She's helping with the kids. She's cleaning, just like she was asked. And then the abuse starts to turn from the kids onto Kathy.
Yeah.
And Kathy gets the horriblest, worst treatment ever.
And it starts out super small. Like, I think at one point she's, like, sleepwalking or something. Or isn't that...
No, she's not sleepwalking.
She's not actually sleepwalking,
she's
but
told that she is, and then she's punished for what she did when
she was stealing food or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it starts out super small,
and like super small too. Like Shelley's just casually taking away things from her bedroom.
Yeah.
And taking her clothes.
She can't wear underwear anymore. She has like one pair of underwear or something.
Eventually there's no bed and no dresser, and Kathy's sleeping on the floor, and she's not able to use the bathroom anymore. Shelley's like taking away bathroom privileges.
Which she was doing to her kids before Kathy came.
Yep. They were not allowed to go to the bathroom unless they asked permission. And even if they asked permission, sometimes she'd still be like, nope, sorry. And if they were to pee their pants or use the bathroom somewhere that is not the toilet, they would be severely punished for it as well.
Yeah.
But she turns all of this on to Kathy. She's taking all of her things away, and, you know, it's just not going good for Kathy, okay?
It's going very poorly for Kathy, yeah.
So at multiple points actually in the book, either the kids or Kathy tried to escape. Because they're like, we're done.
Right.
Which obviously. But anytime anyone would try to escape, Shelley would pack everybody up in the car and be like, we have to find them. we have to find them right now. And then she wouldn't stop until they were found and driven back to the house to endure more
punishment.
Torture.
And that always kept them from going away too, is because they knew they were going to get found and they knew they were going to get punished.
They knew, like, no matter what, she knows where we are. She
Right.
knows where we go. Like, she finds us every single time.
Yeah.
So what's the point? But Shelley would also make her children abuse Kathy.
Yeah.
Like,
specifically Shane.
Yep, specifically Shane. She would tell him, like, to put on steel-toed boots and then kick her or, like, beat her, you know, all these things. Kathy was made to, like, crawl on the floor instead of walk, butt naked in front of all these kids, like, just insane amounts, okay? Well, listen.
I really don't want to listen to it.
Kathy ends up dying.
Yeah.
Because of this.
This is a spoiler.
Well, I mean, it's a real case, so I don't feel bad spoiling anything. And if you read the book, you're going to get a lot more, obviously, than what I'm telling you, because I'm not going to sit here.
The way that she dies is horrific, so we're just glossing over it at this point, so.
Yeah. Because of the abuse that Shelley Notek, her husband, and, you know, the kids, but not their fault, inflicted on Kathy, she ends up dying. And everyone's freaking the F out because now they have a dead body and a dead person, and what is her family gonna think, and is her family gonna call, and what's gonna happen? Well, they end up just burning her body in the backyard. And then her children, Shelley's children, are made to pick through the ashes of Kathy's dead body dust.
Ashes, yeah.
And find any little fragment of bone that they can find.
Teeth specifically, I think, is what they were
to get it disposed of, so that if the cops were to come, they wouldn't find anything because the kids have already picked through it all.
Right.
Could you imagine?
No. Nope.
Oh my god.
I couldn't imagine killing somebody, let alone having my kids dig through their dead body for teeth and bones. So,
yeah.
I couldn't imagine abusing my kids, Katie. Honestly, I couldn't imagine any of this stuff going on in this book happening.
No.
I don't even want to.
No.
Nope.
So, after Kathy dies, the abuse is again turned towards the children, but mostly to Shane. Shane gets the brunt of it at this point. And he is 16, 15 at this time.
I think so.
That this is happening. So he's getting older. He's getting stronger. It's not really working like it was, you know, a couple years ago for them to push him around and abuse him.
Right.
He's starting to fight back. He's starting to yell. He's starting to make plans with Nikki to run away. It's just not going well. Well, after Kathy had died, Shane had taken a picture of her on a Polaroid. And Shelley found it. And blew up on him.
Oh, she didn't find it.
She did. She did find it.
Well, she found it, but after...
Don't say it. Well, no, you can say it, but according to the documentary and then actual, like, case research...
Oh, so the book is not right, then.
He had stuffed it in one of his teddy bears. And she found it, and that's the reason. What happened is what happened.
So what Nikki says in the book is not correct?
Apparently not. I mean...
interesting. Okay.
I don't know. There's a lot of points of contention. The book, the documentary, and then actual
court case.
Legal documentation. I don't know, like, because obviously the book is written by Greg Olsen, who is not involved in the case, but he is telling it through the interviews of Nikki Samiantori.
Okay.
So, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to be like...
Yeah, that didn't happen.
Yeah, because it's being told from their point of view.
Right.
But also, they could have just not known that.
Right.
And that was released maybe later. I don't know. But... if there's something that we say that's not 100% correct, just know that...
Just a disclaimer, we're not talking about the history part since this is a true crime, we're just like going through, and Katie watched a documentary. I did not. So she's kind of actually the history person this time.
There's a lot of stuff that was just a little bit different. Not different enough to change the whole case, obviously, but different enough to make you question, like, who's right.
Right.
Basically.
Right.
But, so, anyways, Shane hides the picture in this teddy bear. Shelly finds it. She loses her mind, but not to Shane. She goes to Dave, her husband, and she's like, listen, he is going to take this picture. He's going to tell the police. We have to get rid of him. He cannot be here anymore. And Dave is like, you know what, Shelly? You're right. Goes out back to where Shane is, shoots him in the head. This 16-year-old boy just kills him. Because he was afraid that he would go rat on them for being horrible pieces of crap. Mind-blowing. So after Shane is dead, okay, the abuse turns back on the girls because Shelly always has to have somebody
to pick on,
to be in control of and be horrible to. But she tells the girls that Shane has moved to Alaska to work on a fishing boat. And they're children, so they're like, okay.
Yeah.
But obviously that's not true. Right. She always has a way to cover up what she's done, whether that be drilling her children over and over that Kathy moved out with a boyfriend. This is the boyfriend's name. This is where they were going. Blah, repeat it back to me. This is what you say if the cops ever ask you. This is what we do. Or with Shane just being like, oh, he called me today, but he had to get off the phone really fast. Like, just keeping it in their head that Shane's in Alaska, Kathy's moved on with a boyfriend. Nobody's dead. I don't know. Even though they kind of knew Kathy was dead because they literally picked her bones out of the fire pit. Like,
they knew Kathy was dead, but they didn't know for sure that Shane was dead. Yeah.
So, but even the girls, like, because they drilled them so much about Kathy moving away, they started to kind of believe that.
Yeah.
Even though they knew.
Right.
Deep down she was dead. So, anywho. Well, eventually, Nikki and Sammy grow up. Okay, and Nikki first, she's the oldest. She moves out and she goes and lives with Laura. Okay, which we're going to get to her more in a minute. Okay, and then Sammy, eventually, same thing. Gets a little older, moves out with a boyfriend, I think.
Yeah.
So.
Or she goes to
she goes to college, but I think she lives with a boyfriend. Yeah. Or something.
Yeah,
boyfriend's a big part. Okay, and then that leaves Tori all by herself. And so the abuse really turns to Tori.
Right. It was always Nikki first, and then
when Shane came along, it was Shane.
It was Shane, yep. And then they always favored who am I thinking of?
Tammy.
Sammy
was always the favorite.
Sammy was always the favorite until Tori came, and then Sammy still was the favorite than Nikki, but yeah.
So Sammy never really got any of the abuse.
Right.
She always had to watch her siblings get this horrible treatment, and then it was really sad because she was like, I would always just thank God it's not me.
Yeah.
But then I would have to watch my siblings do it. Right. And like part of you is like, well, damn.
And they felt the same way about Kathy too. They're like, that's awful what happened to Kathy, but I am so glad that it wasn't me. You know, like they felt bad, but they're also like, it could have been me just as easily if I would have said anything. So yeah.
Which is absolutely horrible, but what do you do when you're a kid?
Right. It's kind of like a survival thing. So
what do you do?
Yeah.
So when they move out, it turns to Tori, and Tori is very sweet and quiet, and she doesn't say a word. She just lets it happen. Shelly's waking her up at ungodly hours of the night, like a drill sergeant, like stripped down naked. Waking her up, making her immediately strip down, making her like run around naked. Just,
she has this fascination with nakedness, and I don't think they ever like actually explain why that happened in the book.
They don't. They don't in the documentary either.
I'm like, why? Like,
She always just wanted them to be naked.
Yeah.
But she was never, like, from what we read, from what I watched and everything, she never, like, sexually abused them. But it gets close. Like, that's close enough for me to be sexual abuse.
Right.
Like,
she did something with Tori too. She like did something with her pubic hair, right?
oh my God.
What
Oh my
happened?
God,
I can't remember.
forgot. So Shelly tells Tori, I need you to go into the bathroom and cut a lock of your pubic hair off and bring it to me so I can put it in your baby book.
Yes, that's what it was.
And Tori's
I was like, something happened, and she had to cut up a. Oh my God.
Tori's like,
hell
no.
I don't think normal people do that.
I don't think that that's real. And Shelly's like, no, every mom does this. Every mom wants a lock of their kid's pubic hair that they first grow. Like, you have to give it to me to put it in your baby book. So finally, Tori's like, well, what the hell? Okay, I'm gonna go do it. And she goes in there, because she knows if she doesn't, like,
She's
freaking
like,
hell is gonna break loose. So she goes, she does what she's asked. She gives her mom the hair, and then her mom looks at her and just starts laughing.
Yeah.
And she's like, why would you do that,
so
you freaking
stupid.
weirdo? Nobody does that. That's so cruel.
I'm laughing because I have like no other coping mechanism besides laughing. Like, I just find it so unbelievable.
That
I
is
just
so
find
cruel. I
Yeah.
cannot imagine.
No, me neither.
Oh my God. Okay, so one weekend. No, let me skip back. So, Shelly meets this guy, okay? Ron was so confusing to me.
His story, I thought so too. So like Kathy's, I thought got thrown in there, and I didn't know who we were talking about, and then
Yeah.
Ron's got thrown in there, and I didn't know who we were talking about for a while.
Yeah.
So the way that he introduced these side characters was really confusing.
Which really, they're not side characters.
Right.
Because they are.
I mean, they're the main part of the story a lot. So,
But the way that the author just kind of like is like, oh, there they are.
yeah,
I was like, what? Because I still don't know how Ron and Shelly met.
she like
I know it's at like an old people home.
yeah,
or
she
something.
worked at a facility, and they like she took care of him, and I guess that guy really liked the way that she took care of him, I think. And then something about he was, I don't know, like his family hated him. I don't know. I have no idea.
Basically,
I got confused too. So.
Ron, he's gay. Okay, and he just got out of a long-term relationship with another man. Which was confusing to me also, because if they met at this old folks home, like, how is he in this long-term relationship and like wanting to get married and do all of these things? Like, I don't know. It was just weird. Read it and tell me if you feel the same.
Yeah, because I was also confused. So I'm glad I wasn't the only one. We didn't talk about that.
Yeah, no. But Ron is introduced to Shelly, and he ends up moving in, which we all know
It's a bad idea.
horrible. Don't move in with the no text.
No.
Okay, just
But she just has a way of like,
I'll care for you.
yeah, like she is so
we'll be
appealing.
best friends, and everything's gonna be fine. And then
I wonder if by seducing, they didn't mean looks. They meant like she just had a seducing like allure about her to like
I
bring people
swear,
in.
If there has ever been a story about a woman where I'm like, she's a witch,
Yeah,
it's literally Shelly
Yeah.
Notek. Like, evil.
like witchy powers. You
Yes.
mean? Yeah.
Like, she literally knows where these kids are. She knows what they're thinking without them saying it. She knows things she should not know.
Right. Right.
All the time.
And she somehow like, isn't it so like, I don't know, maybe through the whole, maybe she tried other people, but she has successfully gotten two people to like, without knowing them hardly at all,
Up their lives.
yeah, and move in with her. And
These grown ass adults.
and
too.
somehow they still stayed, so she knows that they're weaker in mind.
Yep.
Like, I just found
That's
that
what blew
bizarre.
my mind with Kathy, and then Ron again too. With Kathy, I was like, dude, leave.
yeah,
Like, you are a grown ass adult.
right.
you had a career, you have a family, like you could just leave.
Yeah.
But they just stay. And I think that, I mean, obviously it's like the level of abuse that they were enduring, like it messes with your mind. And plus Shelly's like drugging them and
Right.
getting them weak. And just they know that if they want food or if they want the bathroom or any like just normal human right, like Shelly is the only one who can give that to them. And so I think that they just
My thing is like
got
Dave too, though.
I know.
Dave had so many. I mean, I know that he's engaging in it, but he is literally being told by Shelly like what to do. So he could have easily, that very first time that was happening to his kids that he loves so much, like he was going away for work. He had so many opportunities
to
away
leave.
from Shelly
Or to
leave.
take the kids with him.
Yes. Or to tell somebody and never come back. Like, Shelly was not going to drive all the way to your work site and kill you.
Yeah, literally. Dave blew my mind too. They all, like,
Yeah.
I understand the kids because, like, they're kids.
Right.
But the 3 adults, people who just let this continue, especially Dave, like, Kathy and Ron ended up, you know, losing their lives to this abuse, but Dave, he saw it, he knew it was happening, he participated in it because of Shelly. Like, Shelly would take his paychecks and do all these horrible things, but never abuse him.
Yeah.
But, like, he had so many chances to just make it right for these kids and just never did. But, anywho.
Sorry, I'm getting you off of
No, that's okay.
topic.
Ron moves in, and then the abuse turns from Tori to Ron. But Tori and Ron had such like a good relationship. She called him Uncle Ron, and they were so close, and she really like watched him go downhill because of her mother. Like, there was one time, because he wasn't allowed to use the bathroom either, that he peed in a bottle in his room, and Shelly came in and found it and made him drink it, every drop of his own pee.
I forgot about that part. I must have skimmed over it because I don't even remember that. I remember him peeing in a bottle, but I do not remember her saying drink it. So
no. For sure. Yeah, for sure. Yep. He sure did. So,
oh, man.
I kind of just skimmed over Ron in my notes, too, because I was still confused about him, but I just remembered the pee thing. But eventually, Ron also dies by the hands of Shelly, and they, how do they get rid of his body? They put him in the freezer, right?
Oh my gosh.
I don't remember. They get rid of his body, but it's in a different way than they did for Kathy.
No,
they cut him up.
Yeah. Okay, so they like bury him first and then cover it up with a tarp or something, and then they have to take the body later and do something to it.
Yep.
Yeah, I think they did cut him up. I can't remember.
Yep. It's all just horrible.
Didn't she kill a guy in between Ron and Kathy? Sort of?
Yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, it's speculated. She was taking care of this old man, and she was his caregiver, and he died under Shelly's care. So, I mean, it's speculated that for sure she did kill him, for sure. But I don't think she was charged with it. So, like, you can't be like, well,
it's a part of her murder toll. Yeah.
But the old man left his house to his dog.
Yeah. And when her dog, and when the dog died.
When the dog passed away, then it would be Shelly's house. So what did Shelly do?
Killed the dog,
Killed the dog, and then she had a new house. It's just mind-blowing, all the things, like all the hoops that they were able to jump through, and like the school system, the police department, every person that these children interacted with just totally failed them.
Yep.
Completely. Failed.
Yep.
And I think they knew that, but
Well, and they were doing everything that they could to kind of hide it too. Like,
yeah.
they played sports, they played volleyball or whatever, and she said that they wore leggings to volleyball every day so that they could cover up their bruises.
Yeah. Which, I mean, that's what most kids who are abused do.
Yeah.
So. But there had to be some clue.
Right.
There had to be something
Right.
that these teachers or policemen or whoever saw and just turned the other way.
Mhm.
It's so annoying because Shelly could have been stopped way before she was.
Mhm.
It's insane. But anywho, so after Ron dies and after that old man dies, I don't know his name, I can't remember.
It starts with an M.
I don't know. Everything turns back to Tori, okay? And so one weekend, Tori is allowed to go stay the weekend with her sister Sammy. And Sammy, without their mom knowing, takes her to see Nikki also so that they can all be together because Shelly has told all the kids that Nikki is like Satan's spawn, basically.
Yeah.
And that she is not to be spoken to.
Right.
But that's where Tori kind of tells them what's been going on. And Sammy and Nikki are able to be like, that happened to us too.
Yeah.
And we want to get you out of it.
Well, because
And-
this whole time they thought that Tori was okay. Because they were telling, Nikki and Sammy were telling each other, like, it's not that bad. Like, Mom loves Tori.
Yeah,
Like, there's
Tori's a
no
favorite.
way that Tori is getting abused as bad as we did. Like,
Yeah.
she's fine.
Yep. And even Tori at first was like, no, I'm okay. Like, I'm fine.
Right.
And then after Sammy and Nikki were like asking her questions, like, does mom do this? Does mom do that? Tori was like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
actually,
Yeah.
she does. And then Sammy and Nikki realized, oh no,
Right.
this is really bad. Like,
Yeah.
she is getting the same kind of treatment that we did, that Shane did, that Kathy did. And then Tori mentions Ron, and they're like, oh crap, Ron's probably dead or dying.
Right.
Like, you need to be prepared for that. And so when Tori goes back with Shelly, Sammy and Nikki basically get to work.
Mm-hmm.
Except for that Sammy is like, no, we can't. Like, there's only a few more years until she can move out for college. Like, we don't need to interfere and step in and ruin mom's life.
Sammy through the whole book is like that.
Yeah.
Like, through the whole book.
But I think it's because she didn't get that treatment, and so she's like, she's closer to her
Mhm.
mom than all the other ones are.
She doesn't want revenge as much as Nikki does
Yeah.
because Nikki got the blunt of the force
And-
through the whole entire
And
time.
Nikki knows.
Yeah.
She knows Kathy's dead. She knows her mom killed Kathy.
Right.
She knows Shane is dead.
Right.
And Sammy is still like convinced herself that Kathy's off with the boyfriend and
Mm-hmm.
Shane is still in Alaska and everything is sunshine and rainbows.
Right.
So finally, Nikki goes to Laura. Remember Laura?
Mm-hmm.
Laura is Shelly's stepmom.
Yep.
I keep wanting to say mother-in-law.
Oh, stepmom.
And Laura like recounts Shelly's childhood and how she was always a horrible kid. And like she would tell her she hated her every single day and she's just never been quite.
She put glass in kids' shoes at school.
And her siblings' shoes
And
too.
her siblings' shoes.
So that when they would put their shoes on, they would cut their feet up.
And bleed.
Like, she's psychotic, and she has always been psychotic. She's
Yeah.
always been this sadistic.
The nuns at the Catholic school, they didn't even want her.
Yeah, she's always just been a sadistic, terrible person. And even as a child,
Right.
which is crazy that it, like, came through as that. But Laura and Nikki go to the police, and they tell them, Kathy's dead, Ron's dead, Shane's dead, my sister's still there, this is the abuse that we went through, and they still, like, didn't even do anything for a hot minute.
Yeah. They did that before. Nikki and Laura went before Tori even told them that. And they were like, meh. And Sammy was like, I'm not going to testify because, like, why?
Yeah.
What happened?
Yep.
What's happening? What do you mean? We're getting abused?
Yep.
I don't know.
So after Tori came,
Oh, God.
went back, they went again, and they were like, dog, listen.
Yeah.
Because now it's not just me. It's not just all these dead people that you won't investigate. My little sister's in that house and you're going to get her out now. So finally, the police arrest Shelly and Dave Notek. Okay. And after their trial, they are sentenced. Shelly was sentenced to 22 years. Okay. And David was sentenced to 15 years. Okay. Now listen here.
You made your eye roll.
Shelly Notek, she's a free woman.
She's out of prison.
She's out. She is walking the streets.
Right now, as we speak.
Well, she's probably sleeping right now because it's midnight, but
She's probably not. She's probably murdering somebody right now.
she's out.
Like Kitty wants to do, so.
Which obviously Dave is out too by this point, but they
Less
are
concerned about Dave.
Yeah, and Dave interacts with the girls still. All of them except Nikki. But yeah, they are both out. And yeah. Nikki refuses to speak to either of them, obviously. Sammy and Tori refuse to speak to their mom, but still maintain contact with Dave. And they are living happily in Washington. And then Tori is in Colorado now. But it's just a wild, wild, wild book in case that is real. And I just don't know how it's real. Like, every time I think about it, I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
It made me sick to my stomach.
Yeah, no, same. Literally same. And I was like you the whole time. I'm like, how do these grown adults, like, not leave the situation?
Yep.
And Nikki's thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
Like,
Which I
Nikki's
felt
like,
bad because I have notes on my Kindle. Like, I felt bad saying that, like, just leave.
right.
Because people say that to
And
like,
it's
people who
easier,
are
I
in
know. It's-
domestic situations. And it is easier said than done to just leave. But at the same time, I'm like,
You had neighbors. Well, like, okay, they did live on a farmhouse, but I think they still had neighbors within the vicinity that they could at least run to and be like,
Yeah.
hey, I'm
Yeah.
getting abused.
yeah. It's just literally mind-blowing.
And the kids were like, oh, well, I think this is just how all moms act, you know? So I didn't want to say anything.
Which is
because-
easy for kids to believe, because, like, if that's all you've ever known.
Well, Nikki didn't have any friends.
Mhm.
The first person who had friends was Sammy. So Sammy was Sammy was able to see that. So I don't understand why the whole time she was like,
Well, Sammy knew.
it's fine.
Sammy was the favorite, and Sammy was allowed to leave with her friends or go do things with her boyfriend and come home and actually, like, have a place to sleep, while the other kids, like,
Right.
were not allowed to do that. And imagine, like, saying something or speaking out and then it not
All
going the right
privileges
way.
are taken away. Yeah.
And it doesn't go the way you want it to. The cops don't help you, and then you get everything you love stripped from you.
Right.
Like,
I know.
it has to be terrifying. I have a couple quotes before we do ratings. I have saved 4 of them. The first one
Wow.
is, it isn't a mask she wears to cover the past, but an invisible badge of courage. I thought that was so cute.
Yeah.
The second one is 10% of a nightmare is still a nightmare. I
Yeah.
remember them saying that and I was like, oh my gosh. So true.
Yeah.
Like,
It's still a nightmare, even if it's just temporary. Yep.
like I tend to be like, okay, like my past, if you know anything, like whatever. But I tend to be like, it wasn't that bad when I read things like this. Like, my situation wasn't that bad.
Mm-hmm.
But 10% of a nightmare is still a nightmare.
That's still a nightmare to you in your
Yeah.
own way. Just like,
So,
I mean, that is obviously a nightmare, but
yeah. I always like saving quotes too, because I know that the quotes I save are going to be so different than anything you would have saved.
Mhm.
So I like telling you what
I don't even know if I had any quotes saved. I'm sure I
Yeah.
did.
This one is for both of us, though. Humor was the curtain she put around everything. Literally.
Is that Shelly that says that, or are they talking about Shelly?
No, they're talking about, like, one of the girls. Like, she makes jokes and stuff now, but, like,
Yeah.
she just hides all of her hurt with humor.
That's me right now,
Amen,
laughing at this whole
sister.
situation, and I'm like, it's really not funny. I just don't know how to cope with my feelings.
Amen, sister. And the last one was, I had loved my mother because I didn't know I had a choice. I had to love her.
Yeah, because
She's their mom.
Yeah, that was her whole excuse. Because
So, she's their mom.
Yeah.
And you don't know as a kid that you have a choice not to love your parents
Yeah.
if they're being shitty. So,
and they're providing everything for you whenever you're a child. So you're like, well, I have to love her because I need a home and I
Yeah.
need food. And where else am I going to go?
Yeah.
You know?
yep.
So,
Yep. So, ratings. I gave this book a 5-star because I think it was really brave for those girls to finally come out and tell their story, because up until the point where this book was released, all we had was recounts from the courtroom.
mm-hmm.
So you don't get all those details, but even though those details are horrible,
Yeah.
you don't get all of those in just a public setting like
Right.
that. So I think it was incredibly brave, and just, it was a good story. I mean, not good that it happened, but
Yeah.
it's good that they could get that out and
Right.
tell their story. What about you?
I rated it a 4. I really enjoyed it. I just thought that the Ron thing and the Kathy thing, the way they were introduced got really confusing.
Yeah, I have part of your review saved here if you want me to read it.
I don't even remember what I said.
So Allie said, this is a
This
direct quote.
Embarrassing.
She said, I have never been so truly disturbed, disgusted, and traumatized by a book. I ate this book up. This rating is in no way meant to rate the lives these sisters had, but rather the book itself. Regardless, I love this book and the writing style, so I will probably be reading more like this and by the author in the future.
Yeah.
Because I remember you saying, it's in no way, discounting the lives that these
Right.
girls
I
had.
didn't felt like it deserved a 5 as a book, but a 5 as, you said, it was an incredible story. It was super brave of them.
Yeah.
Their story is a 5-star
Yeah.
through and through, but it was
The
just
writing style just wasn't there for me.
Yeah.
How, I guess not the style, but like you said, how he just threw stuff in there
some
without
pacing,
kind of explaining.
and sometimes it went back and forth between times.
Yeah.
It was like somebody recalling memories and them getting kind of...
It might be better if you read the physical book. Both Allie and I read it on audiobook.
Yeah.
So listening to it and it jumping around all of the time,
Yeah.
it was very hard to keep up.
Yeah.
So that could be why,
Right.
too.
But it very much, I liked it so much because it read like a true crime documentary.
Mhm.
It was
It really
almost
did.
like I was listening to a true crime podcast, and I like those.
It doesn't
so-
tell it as a story, but rather almost interview form.
Yeah.
You're getting it straight from the sisters.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah. It's a good book. It's a good October read if you want something to just jar you to your bones.
Or traumatize you. I feel like I was so traumatized by it, but I almost blocked a lot of it out myself because I was I forgot about the pee thing.
Yeah.
I was so disturbed by the pubic hair thing, and I didn't even remember what really happened. I just remember there was pubic hair involved. So
Yeah. I do that too, and if I wouldn't have had those notes, thank God that I decided to do that. It would have been
I probably have notes. They're
rough,
just on my phone.
Yeah, I forget plots. We all know that, but I also don't do well with heavy stuff, especially with children,
Mm-hmm.
because that's just a touchy subject for me. So I tend to just block it out. So I made it through though.
Katie has trauma. I have no real childhood trauma at all. So I am just a pure innocent soul who is wow, people are getting abused out in the world. Why?
I have enough trauma for the both of us, so it's
I
fine.
don't. I'm you could tell me that some mom hit her kid, and I'd be like, oh wow, so sad. I just don't have any trauma at all. I don't have any triggers. Nope.
Yeah. No, I don't really have any triggers. I'll read whatever.
Yeah.
If it sends me into a spiral, I guess that's my own damn fault for reading it. But
Same. Literally same.
this one did send me into a spiral, if we want to be honest.
It didn't send me into a spiral. I was just so shocked. But I've watched so many crime documentaries too that I'm like,
Yeah, same. That's probably why I'm desensitized a little bit. Because
yeah.
I've seen so much.
yeah. Yeah. And I like watching crime documentaries about women. Like, so.
There is a special place in hell for Shelley Notek.
I really want to look up, like, what she's doing now. Like, where is she?
I don't know. I wish I would have done that.
I know, I should have done that. Sorry. I'm not on the ball. I said, this is a true story, so, like, I'm not going to research for it. So.
Please hold. It says, it's unclear where Shelley has been released to. She was released on November 8th, 2022. But she will remain under court-ordered supervision for at least a year. So she's still probably on, like, house arrest or, like, has to go see a parole officer, obviously. So she's still being supervised for 1 year. So, what is this? In
That's a
less
whole year
than a month
of her scheming.
Less than a month, she
Her
will
next
be
murder.
off of that.
Next month, she'll be off of her parole.
Yeah, because if she was released November 8th, 2022 and has 1 year of supervised, or of supervision, that would be November 8th, 23. So less than a month from right now when we're recording this, Shelley Notek will be 110% free. Like, no more supervision. She is free.
Dude. Oh my god.
I'm going to show this picture of Shelley. If you're an audio listener, don't worry, we'll post it to Facebook as well. But, like,
Oh, we won't, because, like, who wants to see
there's
that,
Shelley.
you know?
There's David. Like, this is the
David.
first thing I did whenever I finished the book was go look up all of them.
I did too.
Because
I want to know what they look like.
I want to know what they look like. This was her when she first got arrested. Okay?
Yeah, she looked.
Isn't she so beautiful?
She looks so. She looks better getting out of prison than she did
she
going
does.
in.
There's a lot of pictures here.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll save this and then we'll post like a little memoriam to all these people on our Facebook and like all the, because there's pictures of like the house and Shane and Kathy and Ron, and so maybe we will. But that's all we have this week. Sorry it was heavier. I'm gonna go home and go to bed because it's midnight.
I'm gonna stay up till midnight actually, so Anywho,
we just thank you for watching. Next week will be a big episode. The episode that closes out spooky season.
Yeah.
So get ready for some demons to come at you next week. Really, it's
not this again.
It's just the Lorax, really.
It really is.
Anywho, bye friends. Thanks for watching.
Bye friends.